Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media, and tonight's video I want to review Hereditary on 4K UHD Blu-ray. Now this is my favorite movie of the year so far, and I was super pumped to get this in on the 4K format, so let's get straight into the movie. Now I know this one's up for debate, and some people say that this isn't a good horror, some people say this isn't a horror at all, and some people say this is absolutely terrifying. Now I'm in the camp where I say this is absolutely terrifying and one of the best horror movies of the last 20 years, and I think as time goes on, it will only get better with time. Now, this is not just a straight-up horror movie with jump scares or anything like that. This is more of a horror movie that induces a sense of dread and adds in some real-life things like the loss of a family member and family issues and stuff like that, that mixes in with the horror, that gives it a sort of realistic view and gives an underlying sense of dread that I've never really seen on camera. One scene specifically, they're actually just smoking behind the bleachers, and there's just a sense of dread and a sense of horror that slowly increases as the scene goes on, that really makes you wonder what is behind a horror movie and what scares us. Though I would recommend this for people who liked movies like The Witch. This is definitely a more slow burn horror. This is not a jump scare horror like things like The Conjuring, but I do believe that this is an absolute masterpiece. What I really loved about this is how Ari Aster, the director, hides stuff in plain sight, and once you realize it's there, it freaks the hell out of you. Those are some of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Absolute masterpiece. Go out and watch it. If you feel about an hour in that it's slow, make sure you push through till the end, and this definitely helps with the second rewatching as well. So now let's get to the video quality on this. So this is a 2K digital intermediate upscaled to 4K, and this was a digitally shot image, so we get a crystal clear image here, no grain, and a lot of detail. So we get a pretty massive increase in detail over the Blu-ray, and a lot of that is on the house itself. So the house itself actually plays into like a miniature dollhouse kind of set, because that's what the mother does for a living. She makes these miniatures. So sometimes you'll have the dollhouse and it will slowly zoom in to the actual house, and as you zoom in, there's just a ton of detail that's not there on the Blu-ray. On the dollhouse, tons of little wood chips, little paint marks, and the same thing goes for the interior of the house as well. The clothing on all the characters, wood on the walls, all the interior furniture inside the house. There's just a lot more detail there. Now, another place detail is greatly improved is the sweater that Millie wears. The sweater that the little girl wears has all these little fibers on it. On the 4K, you can tell all the individual fibers, while on the Blu-ray, it's not nearly as crystal clear. Now this is also greatly improved in the depth department. So like I said, when it's zooming into those dollhouse, separating the foreground from the background is easily distinguishable, and same thing when there's a bunch of characters in the house. Separating foreground from background is a lot easier on the 4K than the Blu-ray. Another way that 4K is greatly improved is the black levels. So like I said, things do hide in the shadows, and we'll hit above that a little more in the Dolby Vision, but black levels are very important here because most of this takes place at dark or in the night, and the 4K is deep and inky black throughout with nothing to complain about. Now let's hit on that Dolby Vision. So Dolby Vision actually comes in great use here, and the reason it comes in great use is, like I said, so something will be hiding in plain sight, and usually this will be a nighttime scene, and the shadow detail being greatly improved really helps you make out things in the corner, little hints of things, really helps you pick up things in the movies that you may have not seen, and that's what I personally found with the 4K. The Dolby Vision I found personally was the biggest improvement just because of that shadow detail. Now don't get me wrong, there are regular Dolby Vision improvements as well. The colors are more bright and vivid, such as the daylight scene, such as Millie's red hoodie, such as the fire scene, like the shirt I'm wearing. There are nice highlights there, but overall it's a pretty dark movie, but Dolby Vision really helps with that shadow detail. Now let's get to the audio aspect. So this is a DTS HD 5.1 mix, and I really do wish this had an Atmos mix. With horror, I really feel like Atmos is always necessary. It just adds with those atmospherics, and don't get me wrong, the 5.1 was good, but I feel like it should have at least been 7.1, or really should have been Atmos. It would have definitely heightened the sense of dread, heightened the sense of horror, and just made for a scarier experience overall. Anyway guys, please let me know what you think of this movie once you give it a watch, but I'm going to have to rate this one a day one pickup just because how much I love this movie. I think the picture quality is great, and although I do wish the audio was Atmos, the movie itself is just such a home run, along with the picture quality, that this is a must own in my eyes, and one that requires a lot of multiple viewings, so you get a lot of use out of it. But anyway guys, what I'm really interested in is I want to know your guys' thoughts on the movie down below. I know this is a controversial one. I know some people didn't find it scary, some people found it scary, some people found it more of a drama. I personally found it to be a horror masterpiece and a movie that's going to be talked about for the next 20 years at least. I cannot wait to watch this again. I love this movie, and I cannot wait to see what Ari Aster has next. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video, and have a good night.